Hey friends, welcome back. Hi there from the hammock, I guess. Uh, I kind of wish I could give like a little summary or like an intro or a hook, which I've heard is very important about like what the video is gonna be about. But truth be told, I'm not sure yet. So I've been struggling with like a creative rut, so to say, recently, as you could probably tell by the amount of activity on the channel all around. Well, I guess you can consider like submitting a thesis like a creative achievement. Like research is fairly creative in its nature. Um, so I did that. That was great. But now I'm kind of like left with this creative itch that like I want to do something. I want to share stuff. I want to share my thoughts. I have all these cool ideas, but like I just couldn't get myself to get started. So I guess I this is my way of getting unstuck, so to say. Yeah, I had absolutely no intention of recording anything today, thanks to this scooter. So I did not have a plan to record today, but then I did have a plan to come out to the beautiful swamp with my hammock to chill some because it's a heat wave in the Netherlands and I live in an attic, so that combination is not exactly pleasant. So I have to get outside pretty often to survive in my little personal oven. Mm, so I planned on like leaving the house and coming here with my hammock, but then I all of a sudden like I had this spark. I was like I should bring the gear, and I was like, but like I would need to bring a backpack and the mic, and then set up and talking in public to my phone with the big camera, like not camera, but the big microphone on it. It's pretty awkward. Um, but then I was like, you know what? I will just go to my hammock space. That's nice and remote. It's private, so I can just do my thing. Obviously, the hammock spot was taken because again, Netherlands heat wave. Everyone is in nature and in the shade. And besides the voter, all of which scooter, all of which is my hammock space. So obviously it was taken. So that's nice. So this is my remote backup hammock space. I used this for a while last year, but it's not as nice as the OG hammock space. You probably will see it somewhere in the future. So yeah, I am not really sure what I want to talk about, other than like my whole battle with this creative endeavor, and like what I want to do about it. So yeah, I guess that's what we'll talk about today. All right. So I guess what I want to talk about is like this whole idea of YouTube that I had in mind, because it turns out that it wasn't exactly correct or it wasn't like updated properly. So I'm a big fan of like the whole operating assumptions concept. If you know me in real life, I probably talk to you about it because I love the concept. In a nutshell, it basically is that like instead of making big decisions in life, you can just work with operating assumptions. So you don't need to know if your assumption is true or not. You just assume that it is true and then operate under that assumption until you can prove it false, or it's time to reevaluate and such. And like when it's time to reevaluate, it's usually like over time. So like after a year or two usually is a good time. After big life events, that's usually if something changes you, then it's probably a good time to reevaluate some operating assumptions that you've been working with. I might do another video later about the whole operating assumptions concept because it's really resonated with people that I talked to about it. So, but I digress. So I had this assumption of YouTube, which I developed 2021 summer when I had that streak of I think like 9 videos, 7 videos, 8 videos, something like that over the summer, where I basically just like made 2 videos a week. One was like a high production high production, that sounds a bit funny, but like one was a high production video where like, you know, I had the camera set up and I was sitting like it's like a talking head, you know, with like little animations and whatnot. And then one was where I was outside walking, usually walking with my dog. And I really enjoyed making those like high production, talking head, edutainment videos. You know, I was watching a lot of like Ali Abdal, was a big inspiration, Matt Diavella, you know, like those kind of guys, and I really enjoyed their formats and how they did stuff. So I just naturally assumed, you know, like that's what I want to do, like that's what I will do, and that's YouTube. And that was great. I really, really enjoyed making those videos. That's probably the reason why I still like cling onto the whole idea of YouTube and making videos, because it really, really clicked with me, the whole like video format. Absolutely love it. But it kind of feels like I had an operating assumption there, which is that my format is that talking head edutainment, listicle, you know, like that format, and that was in 2021 summer. Now it's 2023 summer, so that's 2 years. And I, anytime I touched YouTube in that 2 year period, you know, because like I stopped in 2021 summer because I had to move to the Netherlands here, and then anytime I tried, I just like, couldn't really make it work, or like I felt this like very strong like friction towards it, you know, like sitting down, scripting the video, coming up with like how to structure it in this like listicle format, or like, you know, hook, intro, and then body of content and stuff, and the whole thing was just like, it felt too much like a chore, and I didn't want to didn't want it to feel like a chore. That was not something I wanted to do, obviously. I wanted to have fun, like learn stuff. That's why I'm here. So I was extremely stuck, because like for a long time I thought that my problem is I just don't know what I want to talk about. Because if you check the old videos, 2021, I really went deep in like the Think Boy kind of stuff. If you're not familiar with like Twitter lingo, Think Boy is kind of, you know, like you have some like very smart and wise people who just like tweet this like fortune cookie tweets. Like Novel is a great example. I love him, no shade. So but like a bunch of people started like doing this like Think Boy kind of stuff, where they just like tweet like very wise sounding stuff, or often like actually pretty wise stuff, but it's just like it's a very like specific genre, you know, like. And I really enjoyed that, you know, when I had the bravado of a 20-year-old who's just moving abroad. You know, I was like, yeah, let's go. You know, like I will tell everyone how to live their life and how to do good stuff well. And it's like, 2 years passed and I'm not as comfortable in telling people like what to do with their life. So I kind of let go of that, and so that I didn't want to do, like this like whole like productivity lifestyle YouTube stuff I didn't want to do, but I still had this like edutainment, talking head, animations, whatever format in my mind. So then I assumed that I feel stuck because I just didn't know what to talk about, which is a problem because thanks Scooter. So if you know me, you know that like I can get excited and interested in just about anything. My recent deep dive was I don't even know. Oh, it was historical European martial arts. I was super excited about that, and then I dove into Star Wars lore, and I took a brief skirt to learn. Thanks, Scooter. I took a brief skirt to learn everything there is to know about the Nuremberg trials. So history is a big one, and otherwise I'm a mathematician. I was a absolute menace productivity nerd for a long time. So that also is something that I could technically talk about. I moved abroad. I have a pretty good idea on how to do stuff in academia, like school, and then how to do research and note taking. I really enjoy that, and it's like I have so much stuff in my head at all times, and I felt like in order to get started, I had to like pick one thing, you know, like what will be my thing as Gergő, like what is your thing, because that's the advice, you know, like all the like edutainment like niche in YouTube, every YouTube guide. I attended workshops, I watched countless videos, and everything starts with like, what is your thing? Like pick a niche and then just like keep making videos, 2 videos, or like 1 video a week or 2 videos a week, and then it will work. And I was like, but I cannot choose. I just couldn't make myself choose. Because anytime I picked something, I was super excited about it for a bit, and then it kind of like waned off, I guess. And then I just sat there having like all these like half-done scripts and ideas in my notes, and I was not excited about them. And that's not exactly nice, like that's a pretty bad feeling. And I always felt like, okay, but like I just like need to endure maybe, or like like the whole suck it up, just like grind. But like that's a chore. I don't want a chore. I want this to be like a nice and fun hobby. So I was really stuck. And then I had, I think like there was a series of conversations which like kind of like unlocked something in my brain. So obviously I'm a very external thinker, which means that I need to talk to people to formalize my thoughts, or write them down, or leave myself a voice memo, or talk to a camera. That also works surprisingly well. So I'm super external. So I had a bunch of conversations with my closest friends and family, and like obviously they know me better than I know myself, most probably. So I just talked to them, and anyone I approached with this problem had a bit of a different like piece of advice, or like their perspective. And I've obviously like my best friend pointed out that like you should just do something, because like doing something is better than doing nothing. So like just do something and then you're gonna be fine. Which is all well and good, but it was a later piece of the puzzle, so I was still stuck on the pipeline's beginning, and I was like, okay, I will just do something, but like I just can't figure out like how to get started. And then I talked to another friend, and she pointed out that like talking about just random stuff that's in my mind is perfectly acceptable. And that never occurred to me, that like I don't need to pick just one thing, and I can just like ramble on about like what's going on in my mind, and then over time there might be like a bigger pattern emerging, and I just like realized I enjoy talking about some stuff more than other stuff, which is also perfectly fine. And then we went on a short vacation with my girlfriend to Oslo. Highly recommend. Absolutely amazing experience. But then we went to the Munch Museum. Edvard Munch, Scream, great guy. And my girlfriend, she's super into art history. So I went through the Munch Museum with having like a personal guide with me, which was absolutely amazing. I really enjoy art, but I don't know much about it. Like I know a bunch about architecture. Thanks to my dad, I can go into a church and most likely name the era where it's from, and like the most important pieces of the different eras of architecture, mostly in Europe. But like I picked it up, but like classical art, not really. But she is an absolute like wealth of information. And what she told me is that like why Munch is super interesting is because you can clearly see him develop as an artist, because he was extremely prolific. Like he started painting around like 1880-ish, and then like he was a very much beginner, like realism and stuff like that. And then later in his life, closer to his death, he went on to like basically like found expressionism. Yes, expressionism. And then he had a phase of impressionism thrown in there, and like the development over his works is what makes him great. And that really like struck a chord with me, because like I very much like the idea of documenting my own journey and sharing it with the world, so people who find themselves in similar situation maybe can derive some value from it, or something along those lines. And I very much don't feel comfortable telling people what to do, but I am very much happy to share what I did. And that is like a very much like destination versus journey based approach, like the Brandon Sanderson journey before destination for my Stormlight Archive people out there. So the Munch Museum was great in that front, because his body of work just showed his development as an artist a lot. And then what Munch also did, which I loved, is variations. He was huge on variations in his work. And why that really resonated with me, because he took a theme and then just returned to it over time. Often like 6, 7, 8 times using different mediums. So there was like a pencil sketch, a lithograph, a woodcut, a painting, another painting, a video. Yeah, he actually played with video because it just like became a thing where around like middle of his career. Super cool stuff. And then he just like took the same theme and then presented it over time. Thanks, Scooter. With a fresh view. And I really like that idea because like I wouldn't call myself a perfectionist, but I am really good at getting in my own head. And this idea of variations, like you are allowed to revisit your old stuff and like do an update or like show how your perspective changed and stuff like that. This like really enables me to be comfortable with sharing stuff. I'm kind of thinking about like an epistemic disclosure. You know, when I talk about stuff, I would just like, you know, disclose like, yeah, you know, like if I if I have any credentials on the topic, you know, if it's math or data science, you probably need to take a smaller grain of salt than, I don't know, if I would talk about psychology for some reason, because I do not know much about that. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind, mostly for myself. But yeah, I kind of feel like this is what the YouTube is gonna be now. I will just document what is going on in my head, what I think about, what's happening with me, and then I will just like try to find the precise style and medium and format that I enjoy the most. Yeah, obviously it's not gonna be a huge blow up success overnight, and it doesn't have to be, you know, like I was very focused on like, I was treating YouTube as like a business. In 2021, the first stint with YouTube, I was very set on like making this a business and like earning money online and this whole like financial freedom and stuff. And then I kind of realized that like I don't want a second job in YouTube, you know. Thanks, Scooter. So I don't want a second job in YouTube, but I do want a creative medium or like a form of creative expression that I can just like use or touch upon anytime I want. And I guess that's kind of like where the mindset switch came from. So yeah, it's definitely a work in progress, as you can clearly tell. But I'm super excited about it. So I think it's gonna be great. Yeah, thanks for coming along on the little journey. God, I hope the microphone was working. That would suck.